Hey there. So, oh my gosh, it's almost 3 a.m. This is the third night that I've worked until about 3 a.m. But I'm about to go to bed. I just have this message to convey. It's a reading that I just did. And here's what it says. So I used the astrology oracle. Heart of the matter, heliocentric. This refers to the view from the sun. So I would equate the heliocentric view as a view that your soul has. Gibbous moon is the influencing on a practical level. Influencing on an emotional level, water. So the emotions are influencing on an emotional level. Opportunity, harmonics. Challenging factor, disseminating moon. And balance out, Artemis. And there's one that I'm going to look up in a moment, but let me say this. This reading is about your soul is trying to refine something that has to do with your emotional body. And I believe what it's saying is, you're not tending to focus on that, but it is what your soul wants to focus on. So that means you're out of alignment with your highest self, and that means that there might be some discomfort going on in your life. It's like you're searching for something else. Artemis is the hunter. You're searching and searching everywhere else but where you need to look. Water, emotions, feeling, receptive energy, creativity. There's something here that wants to be refined on an emotional level. And when you do that, you will feel the harmony again. I don't think you're going to get much harmony without addressing this. Disseminating moon. Let me just look up that. I think what the issue is that either you've got yourself so dulled out that the emotions keep kind of fading away, or you've got yourself telling yourself a story that causes the emotion to lose their charge. So it's like maybe if you were paying attention closely, you could see that for 1 second that emotion rears its head, but you've got a coping mechanism in place that breezes right past it, doesn't give it a second thought, doesn't acknowledge it, and it dissipates before you'll even notice it. So you wouldn't think of this like a repeating pattern in your life. You would think of this more like just everyday life. And it is coming up in everyday life. It is something that has been wanting to get your attention for a while, that you've been coping with for a while, and your coping mechanism is not failing you. So you will have to practically dig for this, look at it, allow yourself to see something that you haven't been willing to see, or feel something you haven't been willing to feel. I was just reminded of a time when something happened in my life, and I was thinking, oh, I think I should be more upset about this. But I didn't feel anything. And I was like, huh. And that was the indication for me that I should dig some in my psyche a little bit, dig in my inner world, and see why I was not upset about this thing that was very upsetting. Like, it should have offended me. I knew witnessing somebody else's harm in the way that I was should have affected me. And so when I dug, I realized that it was a coping mechanism that I had in place. Because when really bad things were happening to other people, as a child, my coping mechanism was that, I had to take control of the situation. And when you're taking control of the situation, there's no room for emotional messiness. There's no room for anything like, but using the mind to take control of the situation. Strategizing and, thinking ahead and keeping apprised of what's going on in the surroundings. And so all of that took precedence to feeling anything in that moment. And when I alleviated that pattern, then I could feel again about that topic. So I feel like it's something like that, where you have to kind of notice in yourself that something's a little bit off, and then dig by asking yourself some questions about it, and then you'll be allowed. Then you'll allow yourself to feel the emotion and refine yourself through feeling that emotion, processing it. Let's see, disseminating moon is the waning gibbous moon. The waning gibbous moon occurring after the full moon, when the moon is still more than half but shrinking. The term disseminating suggests sharing knowledge and achievements, acting as a time to celebrate successes, share insights gained, and give back to others. Okay, and it said that that was the challenge. Yeah, okay. This is a soul contract that you're trying to fulfill. That's why it matters to your soul. Your soul agreed to come play a part for others. It's like you're a certain piece of a puzzle. Other people are other pieces. And if you don't play with your piece, if you don't put your piece in the slot where it goes, then they can't get what they need either. Because you will be sharing or just being the energy and an example of something that you become when you are refined in this way. So that's how important it is that other people in your life are people that you are in contract with to provide this for. Normally we want to be motivated by doing things for ourselves, but for whatever reason, this is pointing out to you that there are other people that you may be meant to influence or just be an example for. Now I'm going to look at Artemis because it's asking us to balance that out. And I just want to get a little refresher on what Artemis mythology is, in case anything stands out as what you will need to balance out. A virgin goddess of the hunt, wilderness, wild animals, childbirth, and chastity, and the sister of Apollo. Fiercely protective of her purity and that of her followers, often wielding a bow and arrow with swift and sometimes severe vengeance against those who offend her. Yep, that's what it is. It's that because you're not refined emotionally in this way, you're acting. You're maybe even reacting in a way that is putting people at a distance so that you can maintain control and continue coping in the way that you've been coping. Because probably a lot of things in your environment are trying to are poking you, maybe probably not purposely on their conscious mind, but as part of their contract. I'll stumble into your wound by saying this or that, and now all of a sudden you're reacting in a way where what you get to see is your reaction, because you've been ignoring the thing that's trying to be avoided by that reaction. That reaction's like your bodyguard. And because people have been kind of activating this thing in you, the coping mechanism is flaring up, and you can see that. And it's saying, balance out this issue within you so you can stop reacting that way. And it's not wrong that you've reacted that way up until this point, because the fact that you are going to be refining something on the emotional realm, it would make sense that the people around you, if you were serving them as an example, that they would also want to see the contrast of the how you were before and what it's like after you get refined, you know? Because that's what's noticeable to others. If you were always refined, they might not even take notice. But if you used to react this way, and then all of a sudden they realize you don't react that way anymore, then they can take notice of that change in you. And you serve as an example that way. So, remember, only take this message if it is meant for you, if it resonates with you as truth, you know, you'll feel that. You'll feel the truth. And if it's not for you, maybe if it's regarding someone you know. And if it's not for you, just don't take it, right? I appreciate you watching anyway, and we'll see you next time.